Hi, kids. Welcome back to your next Treasure Box Challenge. This week, your challenge is brought to you by the English department. So, this week, you guys are going to get into story time, which I love to tell stories, so I cannot wait to do this one. You're going to take an item that is a treasure of yours, something that you might have in a treasure box, and you're going to tell the story behind it. Think of the characters involved. Check out this brainstorming worksheet that Miss Siegel made for you guys. Get your wheels turning. So there's all kinds of ways that you can turn in some media based on your story. You could just audio record your story and upload that. You could, if you could tell your story really quick, you can do a video file as long as it's a small file and upload a video of your story. You could draw your object and then upload the audio over it. You can get as creative as you want, but what we're really looking for this week is that interesting story that relates to your object. We want to know why it's important. And here's Mr. Hill explaining the Treasure Box Challenge and sharing his treasure and his story with you.
Hi. This week for Treasure Box 2020, everybody's on the edge of their seat. It's English time. And an English party is a party that just don't quit. So our treasure box assignment is very, very, very exciting. So what we're going to be having you do is look at items in your treasure box. And I have my treasure box here. Lovely thing that it is. And as you go through your treasure box, you're going to pick one item to specifically focus on. So let's look at my treasure box. I have a piece of origami made out of a dollar bill that my wife gave me on our first date. It's supposed to be a crane. I have a little toy car that I got in Germany on my first trip to Europe in Berlin. I actually got to drive one of these around. It was a stick shift, and I didn't know how to drive a stick shift, so it was a horrible experience. Everybody should learn how to drive a stick shift. I have my grandfather's pipe. He smoked this pipe until it eventually, well, that's another story for a sad time, but yuck. I have the watch I got in 5th grade on getting all A's in elementary school. And it still works, although the wristband doesn't smell that great. I have a bolo tie. Everybody loves a bolo tie and should have at least one in the repertoire. It goes with everything. And this one has the seal of the great state of Texas. As all of you may or may not know, I'm from Texas. Don't hold that against me. Everything's here in Texas. And only Texans can say that things are Texas style. What else do I have? Oh, look what I found in my treasure box. A roll of toilet paper. High demand, this item, especially since it's 2-ply and it has ridges for that extra fresh clean. Thank God for this because I've been using 1-ply. I have a rabbit. That reminds me of growing up when I used to raise rabbits for 4-H. Trying to walk a rabbit on a leash is a very embarrassing thing. Pop, 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 pop. What else do I have in here? I have a picture of me and my father. This is me. This is my father. Can't see it that well. But this was taken the first time I failed out of college. I was a nervous wreck. I learned a lot from that experience. What's this? Oh, I have a picture of me and my brothers when we were 7, 5, and 3, watching a Christmas parade. The only picture I have of my brothers. Ooh, what's this? And the treasure box keeps giving gifts. I painted this. It's a dog. It's in the box. Miss Smith really needs to teach me how to paint because this is horrible. Ooh. And let's see, last but not least, the most important item I've realized in my box is this ring. Now, as most of you may or may not know, this is the emblem of the Houston Astros. This ring is probably the most important thing I have in my treasure box. And let me tell you why. And as I tell you why, I want you to listen because this is what you're going to be doing with your treasure box for the English week. This ring is a treasure to me because my grandfather, who was a hard man, lived a hard life, didn't graduate, stopped school in the 7th grade, worked for 50 years in a machine shop. He was a very quiet man, and he raised my mother and my two aunts. And my grandmother was very fond of what the Rolling Stones call Mama's Little Helpers. So he raised $3 by himself while also holding down a full-time job. My grandfather, when I was 7, took me to a baseball game. It's the only baseball game I've ever been to. I hate baseball. I don't understand the point. It was one of the few times in his life. He wasn't a figure who showed a lot of emotion. It was one of the few times in his life he actually hugged me, and he bought me this ring. And as you can see, it's broken. It's very cheap. Can't even wear it on my finger anymore. It barely fits my pinky. But when I look at this ring, I think about my grandfather and how hard he had to work to get my mother where she was and to be successful in her life. And if it wasn't for his hard work and dedication for a job that he hated, I would not be where I am today. Because he set my mom up for success in her life, and in turn, he allowed me to be the person that I am. He never showed much love, and he never showed much care towards me and my brothers as grandchildren, but I always knew after the moment when he gave me this ring that I ever needed for anything from him, he would be there for me. The real reason why this ring is important to me is the only thing I have of him, and it's the last really positive memory of him. So we went to the game at the Astrodome in Houston. The Astrodome isn't anymore, but when it was one of the great wonders of the modern world. Parking lot was as big as the state of Texas. We parked so far away, it took us 45 minutes to walk to the gate. My grandfather at the time had emphysema and nobody knew about it except him. So he is struggling to get to the gate. He's having to pause every 10 minutes. He's leaning on cars that aren't ours. He's holding my hand, and I think I'm helping him along more than he's helping me along. And my father and I would ask, Grandpa, Papa, we called him, do you want to keep going? And he would always say, yeah, I can do it. That game was very hard on him physically. And it was one of the last times he actually was physically active at all because his emphysema worsened after that. He smoked every day, 40 years. Most of it was this pipe right here. And then when his doctors told him he couldn't smoke anymore, he switched to cigars. It makes no sense whatsoever. So the reason why this ring is so important to me is it just provides me with a lasting memory of my grandfather who died about a year after that. I was a young boy of 8, very sensitive and shy and scared a lot of the time and bullied often. Kids in high school in Texas and junior high and elementary school aren't the nicest. So I got made fun of a lot. But going back to my grandfather, the journey to the Astrodome and watching this game and him giving me this ring was the last time that we were together when he was still in his right mind and well. So I've carried this with me all my life for the past 20, how old am I now? Jeez, for the past 34 years. This ring is twice the age of most of you. So what you're gonna do is very similar to what I just did. On Schoology, in the group, we provided you with a graphic organizer to get you started. It has an example from Ms. Siegel. And basically, you're going to look at your treasure. One thing that's in your box out of all the things you have, and think about why it's important to you. What impact has it had on your life? Think about, you want to craft this as a story. You want to make it interesting for the reader. You want to give us some characters. Ultimately, you're telling a story, and a story has to be entertaining. I really look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. I really want to thank anybody beforehand for sharing and being upfront about the importance of the items in your box on your lives. It doesn't have to be a story that's sad like mine, but we just want you to tell an honest story, a story that's reflective of who you are. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Ms. Smith or any of the English teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hill, for sharing that amazing story about your object and why it's important to you and your grandfather and the love that he showed you. You guys, this week your treasure box challenge is due on Sunday, April 26th by midnight. Just go to Schoology, then to groups, find the treasure box challenge, go to albums, and then make sure you're uploading in the week of April 20th to 26th. I can't wait to hear your stories. Happy day.